Real quick question: how many folks here are not graduating this coming 2015? So freshmen. Oh, cool. All right. Time out for the from the questions. Uh, I want to throw an open-ended question, Sam, to you and Ritu, and Eileen, you might want to comment on this too. But just internships. Eileen, you mentioned internships. Just any thoughts that you've got as far as what's what's useful in finding them and maybe picking the right kind of internship, or frankly any thoughts you got about internships, because again the majority of folks here are graduating, but there's a bunch who aren't, and internships are important. Sam, you want to go first?
Uh, don't be afraid to take an unpaid internship, is what I'll say. Uh, I know it's not fun making money over the summer when other people are, um, but having the internship is really important. Um, so to the extent that you can do one, and maybe it's unpaid and maybe it's not full time, but you can still put it on your resume and talk about it. So I did an internship for a solar company. It was unpaid. It was close to home, and and I ended up talking a lot about it at my interview for Invenergy. And I actually interned at Invenergy before starting full time. And so I'll also say, don't be afraid of taking an internship after you graduate, which is scary. I did that, and it was a summer internship, and it was sort of a test period, and it ended up working out. And if you work really hard and you prove yourself, I think it often will. I mean, companies, if they're hiring, they want to hire you, and if you can prove yourself in internship, it makes their decision a lot easier. Um, so don't be afraid to take an internship right after school with the intention of trying to work full time there.
So the only thing I can say really is you should, if you have the opportunity, you should do an internship or do a co-op if you're an engineer, because not only does it give you early exposure to the real world and help you decide if that's something you actually want to do, but it also gives you experiences to talk about whether or not it is the industry you want to go into. You can draw upon those experiences generally with almost any employer, future employer.
I totally echo Sam. Is definitely take an unpaid internship if you can. I mean, obviously paid is always better, but there are a lot of unpaid internships out there. I know that's actually probably one of my biggest regrets in college was not doing an internship. I did work a bit, but an internship focused within my area would have been probably really helpful. When my master's program, I had to do internships throughout my time there, and don't look at it about the experience that you're going to gain in the field. It's really internship is actually probably the best way for you to learn what it's like to work in the real world, because you have set hours, you have to wake up. It is really a hard adjustment to start working. I know you guys probably go to class all day, but it's really different going from 8 to 5 every day, working around the clock, only getting little breaks here and there. It's really also great to learn business writing that you don't even realize the way you write in academia is very different than what you're going to get in the business world. Very short, to the point, blunt. And then sometimes you get really wacky emails and you're sitting there for hours trying to figure out what the person wrote. So there's a lot of professional etiquette that you're going to learn at an internship, and that is why I would say is if you can only get it unpaid, do it, because you're going to learn a lot of stuff that you just can't learn in the classroom. Good resources for internships. Obviously, good employers, big employers would do LinkedIn. I know you guys have got to have a career services here on this campus for sure. I sat through 2-hour lecture, so I think I've got like 20 people that do career services, so they're a good resource for you. Craigslist is still actually a really good, valid place to get internships, especially for non-for-profit type areas or probably startups where they just don't have the money, the power to really post big ads. And then obviously, really, if you just Google internship, whatever you're looking for, chemical engineering, you're going to find stuff off that too. Twitter, any social media at this point. So yeah, definitely do an internship.
I'm just going to pile on a couple of quick points, and that is uh, the point was made that you don't necessarily have to intern in the field that you want to get into. So, if you're really interested in sustainable energy, don't limit yourself to internships that are just from sustainable energy companies, because you're, again, trying to build skills. You're trying to get a couple of laps around the track so that your real employer someday can look at you and say, well, I don't have to, teach this person where the water fountain is. And the opposite extreme, and this sort of picks up on Sam's point, is this notion of an internship after graduation. I'm looking at students at one of the finest schools in the world, and so most of you will not have to do that, right? You can get an internship. I'm sorry, you can get a job that's well paying at some of the greatest employers, and do that straight out of school. But if you really want to get in a particular area that you're passionate about, whether that's sustainable energy or something else, you might want to consider breaking into that industry with an internship. It's kind of a lease to hire. It's a little offensive, but there's a lot of people doing it, so something to think about.